Thank you for being here. My name is Reverend Laurel Nelson, and I direct a ministry just up the hill, a nonprofit called Logum Landing, right here in Dansville. And I'm a preacher, so I am going to preach today. I hope you'll let me do that a little bit. I want to start out by quoting Jesus' first sermon, his very first sermon in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 4. Jesus says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor, release to the prisoners, and recovery of sight to the blind, to liberate the oppressed, and to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." Now, this sermon, you might know, got Jesus rejected in his hometown. Right from his very first public sermon, Jesus was not afraid to claim his purpose, to identify with the poor, with the blind, with the oppressed, and the rejected of the world. This is the Jesus that I follow, a Jewish peasant carpenter living under Roman occupation, who calls his followers to behold the birds and the flowers and to love their enemies, and who also wasn't afraid to turn tables over in the temple when he saw corruption going on, who was crucified because he refused to abuse his power in violence. And instead, Jesus allowed himself to be rejected, and 3 days later went on to display the full power of God when God brought new life to what the world rejected. I want to talk today about what's going on in the world right now. There's a lot of power grabbing, deal making, corruption, and downright criminal activity going on in the highest offices of this country, and none of it serves the people. The people are being rejected, right? Here are just a few of the many different things our leaders just approved in the big evil bill, or the big billionaires bill, whatever you want to call it. 30 billion, yes, with a B, dollars approved to bulk up the already out of control ICE agency that is proven to be unable to tell the difference between those with violent criminal records and hardworking people.
They don't care.
Even deporting people who are showing up for their court appointments, trying to do the full legal process and become full citizens. We'll soon have 10,000 of these agents roaming our streets, and this agency, if it were a nation's military, would be the 16th largest military in the world. Shame. What about these promises that our president gave to cut spending and to fire people when they weren't doing their jobs right? Instead, those in power have just given a $30 billion raise to masked agents who show up in armored vehicles and uniforms to our farms, arresting our farm worker neighbors and devastating our farmers' ability to produce food, putting food on all of our tables. This big evil bill also gives a $150 billion raise to our already grotesquely large military. This includes sending more weapons to Israel to kill starving people in Gaza who are desperately seeking aid, children dying every day. Our representative, Claudia Tenney, has rejected us. Yes, she has, by voting yes on this bill, which also cuts $900 billion from Medicaid. Do you know what this will do? There's no doubt. In just a second, Dr. Breen is going to tell us a lot more about this. But this will devastate Noyes Hospital, forcing them to cut back services and making us all drive up to Rochester for maternity care, psychiatric care, and other specialty care, if we can even afford to. And if left unchecked by New York State, these cuts will eliminate coverage for more than 60,000 people in our region. Now, who already knows people who rely on Medicaid, who have a horrible time already finding a doctor or dentist to care for them? I know I do. Yes, the poor and the middle class have decidedly been rejected by the leaders who voted for this bill. Rejection has been embraced by the powers that be, and their rejection, friends, is of all of us. But, as Reverend Dr. William Barber teaches so well, I know that I am not alone in claiming that inside that rejection is the revival. The power of the people, especially the rejected people, is the power of God and always has been. Our revival is being led by the rejected who are pursuing liberty and justice for all. And here are just a few examples. I am constantly astounded by the indigenous community who have been rejected at every level, but who are still willing to teach the very people who benefited from their rejection, most of us, how to go forward in surviving the horrors of climate change. If we are only to listen, they are teaching us alternatives to our destructive capitalist system. The revival is also being led so bravely by the LGBTQ plus community. One night this spring, when Elam Bible Seminary was hosting a Christian nationalist speaker, my church, West Bloomfield United Church of Christ, hosted an event called Love is Stronger. And the Flower City Pride Band filled our sanctuary with boisterous music, showing how to use whimsy as a weapon against hate. Woo-hoo! And joy as juice for our journey. Finally, our refugee and immigrant friends are leading the revival. They have shown incredible courage and leadership, supporting one another in very scary times. Our next speaker will talk a bit about how people are being illegally arrested right here in our county. Let's not pretend like this is across the country anywhere else. It's happening right here. Let's amplify their stories. Let's tell them. Let's make sure they make our newspapers and our news outlets. Let's stand in solidarity with these hardworking people and their children and insist that their rights be protected. The faith community that shaped me preaches grace, not greed, love, not lies, mercy, not might, forgiveness, not fear, and forgiveness, not force, faith, not fear. Out of love of money and power, our current leadership will continue to reject us. But the good news, friends, is that they are few. And they have systematically rejected so many of us that we have become the many. Look at us today. Just a little bit more. We have to use our power and join one another in refusing fear and intimidation. Because when we think about it, it is fear that is motivating those in power. Fear of what might actually happen when we refuse to be divided. And don't forget, we are living in the land of the rejected leading the revival. We are standing in the space where Claire Barton raised up the American Red Cross to say that mutual care, not violence, is the way toward healing. We live in the land of Harriet Tubman, who, talk about fear, was able to lead 13 missions to deliver 70 enslaved humans to freedom. We live in the land where women fought for and claimed our right to vote, and where ordinary citizens right in this village helped lead the Underground Railroad to bring freedom and dignity to the enslaved. Over and over again, friends, the rejected will lead the revival. And this has always been the way of the world. And it is our time to take our part. Let us rejoice in the